China is a nation of history, metropolis, art, industry, and the focus of my career in expeditions, the wild, covering 42% of the country. In Europe, wilderness only covers 2%, but the percentage of wilderness itself doesn't tell the whole story. What about protection? So in 2021, China announced the creation of the first 5 of 49 planned national parks spanning land and sea. But how does a national park function in the world's formerly most populated nation? Let's dig into it. First, let's establish what's at stake. China is the world's 3rd most biodiverse country, just behind Indonesia and Brazil. From expansive deserts in the northwest, some of the world's tallest mountains in the west, tropical forests to the south, and undulating hills, river valleys, wetlands, and forests covering the expanses of eastern China, an incredible number of ecological biomes cover the country. For example, China is the only natural home to wild pandas, but also to over 60% of the world's snow leopards. Yet species have also been lost. In 2022, the IUCN declared the Yangtze sturgeon and Chinese paddlefish extinct. And last year, the last known female Yangtze giant softshell turtle died. However, after decades of headlong development, followed by a series of natural disasters, the leadership is now aware of the need to protect the environment. Chinese President Xi Jinping is pushing the message of environmental protection from the top via the policy guiding slogan, "Lucid waters and lush mountains are invaluable assets," essentially meaning that the environment and economy are inextricably and symbiotically linked, and establishing 2035 as the year that the country will finish the creation of its nature reserve system centered on national parks. So by 2018, 62 years after creating its first nature reserve, China had protected 18% of its land and 4.6% of its water through a network of over 10,000 different types of protected areas. And in many places, these actions reversed the fate of endangered species, like in 2021, when China declared pandas as no longer endangered. So with this success, why create a new national park system? Well, the simple answer is that the national park system allows for more efficient and effective top-down protection of species and habitats across a once fragmented patchwork system of protected areas. So to again take the panda for example, when the Giant Panda National Park was established in 2021, it grouped over 80 pre-existing and in some cases overlapping protected areas across 3 provinces to create one park. This overcomplicated management structure had emerged from the previous sprint to protect different habitats and natural resources post-environmental degradation, but it was due for an update. So the first 5 national parks were officially established in 2021 for their biological significance. They cover the habitats of nearly 30% of the country's key terrestrial species. And the parks also attempt to help alleviate poverty through ranger employment and local eco-education programs. For example, in Sanzhengyan National Park, one individual from each household is eligible to be hired as a ranger. But there is an issue that many of the parks and nature reserves still face: the issue of collectively owned land as opposed to state-owned land inside national parks. The parks are still working to find a solution for this. So on this topic, I'm frequently asked one question: is China, like other nations in the past, forcibly relocating people to build these parks? Now, China's national parks are the most densely populated in the world. The original 10 pilot sites had over 600,000 people living inside their borders. But unlike many countries like the USA, which eradicated native peoples before creating parks, the government only plans to relocate those living in the core zones of the parks. And while they may not have a choice, all will receive compensation and aid with relocating, finding new housing, new jobs, and more. Okay, so up to this point, we've discussed what these parks have brought for nature and fixed, but national parks are different from nature reserves in that they are public parks for people. So how do you visit? For this question, I called my friend, a professional wildlife filmmaker and nature guide who has worked in several of China's national parks. 慧莹，
我的名字叫慧莹，我是一名中国的野生动物纪录片的制片人和摄影师。
In fact, when I called, he was filming birds in a wetland park in Beijing.
中国的国家公园肯定和全世界其他国家的国家公园，它会共享很多共同的特点，比如说，这样的国家公园都会是这个生物多样性特别丰富，然后这个地质地貌特别壮观。中国的国家公园呢，也在向全世界所有的国家公园在做学习。我们会有各种各样的访客中心，然后在我们国家公园第一批5座国家公园的这个试点运行阶段呢，我们做了一些特许经营，引领大家去让大家怎么去欣赏自然呢？怎么去不破坏自然呢？怎么去欣赏和理解这个本地的这个各种各样的文化和它这个生物多样性之间的各种各样的关系？三江源国家公园它的这个生态旅行有点像非洲的 Safari， 我们采取的旅行方式是越野车，然后当地的牧民作为我们的司机和向导。
There's still over a decade to go until China's national park system is supposed to reach completion. But China's built these parks as it has simultaneously tackled poverty, cleaning its air, a pandemic, and more. So the first 5 are now open for people to visit, and more will come.